I was told it was my birthday and that we were going to party like it was my birthday. But everyone in cabinet...
Not sip Bacardi like it's my birthday. That would be inappropriate in the workplace.
But everyone in cabinet forgot it was my birthday, and now I've told the ministers I like who are cool not to come to government today.
It wouldn't have been appropriate to celebrate my birthday when it's not everyone's birthday. Every day it is someone's birthday, and if we were constantly taking a day off for frivolity every day, nothing would get done. It's a waste of money on candles and cake. It's a fire hazard. It can't be allowed.
Unexpected Starmer coming out as a Jehovah's Witness moment.
Also, I hate blood transfusions.
We will be cancelling blood transfusions from the NHS, but primarily for budgetary reasons.
The accidental Jehovah's Witness, where you cut your way there.
Hi, everybody. It's TF. We did accidental dueling Starmers at the front.
The accidental Jehovah's Witness being put into, like, Jehovah's Witness protection.
Okay, here we go.
Like, down at the other end of the country, not celebrating a birthday.
Hidden in plain sight, going around knocking on people's doors, trying to convert them to be a Jehovah's Witness. The mob won't let you in. They'll never know that it's you. They'll be afraid of you knocking on their door. It's genius.
Hi, everybody. It's TF. Yes, we started with dueling Starmers. Of course, I couldn't let the news that it was Keir Starmer's birthday and nobody in cabinet wished him a happy birthday, and then it was leaked to the press that happened.
Who leaked that?
Him! Of course it was him!
What, to make himself sound serious?
Yeah, well, or to try to get revenge.
Jeremy Corbyn leaked it to the press.
He called Hugo Guy.
Hugo Guy, also great name.
We have a guest today. We have returning champion. It is Jason Koebler from 404 Media, who's going to be talking to us about the deluge of election-related AI slop, both coming from parties and supportive candidates and so on, that seems to be, if not changing the face of politics, then at least giving it six fingers. Jason, how's it going?
Good. Thanks for having me back. Second time, long time.
Yeah, you're now in the TF lounge.
I said giving a face six fingers. I'm aware I mix my metaphors.
It's something that the AI would do, to be fair.
That's right. And we are going to do a little bit more probably on British-specific stuff on Thursday when we will be joined by Gareth Dennis, to whom nothing significant has happened recently, I take it.
Yep, there's definitely not any news. He isn't, like, kind of the fulcrum of any kind of scandal of any kind.
No, oh goodness, no. Nothing like that. We're going to have a totally normal conversation about the trains. Jason's here. We're going to be talking all about a few different sort of AI news items, one tech news item that's really tickled me recently, and then get into the slop tidal wave. I'm going to say, sorry, it's 99% slop, 1% Trump and Kamala Harris singing duets in Mandarin.
And 100% reason to remember the name.
Yeah. All of it's terrible, except for that, which I think gives us all hope that humanity can be united in the future.
The position I've staked out before. AI can never be good, but it can be funny.
That's right.
Wait, no, I mean, but that happened. They did sing that duet in Mandarin, I'm pretty sure.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, the AI just touched it up.
Yeah, it wasn't quite as good as when Donald Trump played the Gibson SG for the whole arena full of people. That was also pretty cool. But
I want to open us on a little bit of news. Of course.
Good news?
Possibly.
Okay.
Depends on how you interpret it.
Yeah. One of the things that's happening in Britain right now is we are undergoing, of course, if you read the Tony Blair Institute, which I do, we are undergoing a technological revolution.
I get it delivered to my house.
Yeah, we are trying to revolutionize education, and one private school, the David Game College in London.
The David Game College for gamers.
Yes. Well, that's not so far wrong.
Oh, okay.
The David Game College for Future Gamers has basically fired all of their teachers except sex education and art.
Okay, extremely loud British school klaxon sounding here.
Yeah, they've fired all of their teachers, and students will be abandoned abandoning textbooks and lectures in favor of laptops and headphones because instead of human teachers, they will be learning core subjects, including English, maths, and science, from an AI system.
What, the same AI system that can't accurately say the number of R's in the word strawberry?
Well, do you really need that in your professional life?
Yeah.
No, probably not, to be fair.
Vibes based.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Who needs to know?
We're just like teaching the kids the kind of like the lessons on tape from Dogtooth. You know, we give them a maths lesson that's like all the angles and the triangle don't add up. You know?
Well, your teacher for everything is now Mavis Beacon.
I mean, to be fair, she did a pretty good job. I'm a good typist, you know.
Mavis Beacon teaches everything.
Yeah.
I had a number of complicated feelings about Mavis Beacon as a young girl. And to be honest, yeah, you know, this is going to like, you know, the youth of tomorrow.
Yeah.
Mavis Beacon sex ed.
There's a new documentary coming out about Mavis Beacon and the creation of her and sort of her role in our AI future. I haven't seen it yet. I just saw it announced.
Yeah, because like when I was a kid, I was like doing the kind of rated U for Universal version of her with my like with Mavis Beacon teachers typing. You know?
Real trailblazer in the AI teaching landscape.
Yeah.
Mavis Beacon develops sentience.
Yeah.
Mavis Beacon takes over.
Yeah, well, the original purpose of the Mavis Beacon was to warn sailors of the presence of big typewriters floating in the ocean.
The AI is used in such a way that sees students learning with both computers and virtual reality headsets, and it teaches in a way that human teachers simply cannot.
Wrongly. I think human teachers can manage this.
Yeah, and they did a lot, actually.
I still don't know how many R's are in strawberry.
It could be any amount, really.
Never do the hard R strawberry.
By developing a lesson plan that is tailored to each and every student while arranging it in such a way that weaker topics are tackled right away and stronger topics are pushed later. The catch is this teaching arrangement is very expensive, with the 20 students who are receiving the AI teaching treatment paying £27,000 a year in fees.
Wait, so it's both worse and more expensive.
Yes.
Great.
I mean, perfect British moment. I mean, a lot of kind of private education is like this, right? Because like, okay, you can pay a lot for the like connections, right? And the quality of teaching or whatever, and, you know, try and vault your kid up into the upper classes or whatever. But like a lot of the weirder side of private education in this country is like, yeah, we'll take 20 grand a term and we will do just some fucking experimental shit on your kids. You know, they're going to be like Weapon X, except for not knowing how to spell.
Yeah, the experimentation used to be purely sexual, but now they've moved it to other arenas.
Now it's more conceptual, you know, it's like more all-encompassing.
They said, however, that essentially what's happening is it's offering a level of precision and continuous evaluation that's hard for humans to match. And if you want to understand why a child isn't learning, they said, AI can pinpoint that more effectively. Again, like, jokes aside, a teacher could pinpoint that perfectly effectively. It's just they can't do it when they're responsible for like 90 children who are sitting on double-decker desks.
Yeah, which didn't used to be a problem in private education, which retained low class sizes until Keir Starmer and his band of wokes, you know, decided to maybe slightly increase the amount of like tax they were paying.
Of course, right. And this is, if you listen to this show or if you read 404 Media, you will know anytime anyone wants to introduce AI into anything, what they really mean is we want to fire half of you and rehire the half that we fired on worse contracts. So can you believe it? So looking at Jason for this one, that a number of ex-teachers have been hired as quote-unquote learning coaches.
That's so good. There's a quote in here that there are many excellent teachers out there, but we're all fallible, the school's co-principal said. And I can't think of any system that's more fallible than AI. You know, the strawberry one is good. But even today, it's like Google rolled out its AI answers again, and it hasn't gotten as much attention this time. But I see wrong things in it constantly still. There's also a study I read the other day that firms that have tried to replace workers with AI have found, again, that it is more expensive and less good than just keeping the workers that you have. So this sounds about par for the course to me.
Awesome. That doesn't matter in the short term, right? Like, this is what we kind of mean when we say that, you know, you might be replaced by AI. It doesn't mean that the AI is going to do your job. It means you're going to do your job. It's just going to be at the whims of a kind of capricious idiot computer. And also your job has been like formally de-skilled. So you're not a teacher anymore. You're like a learning coach because the computer's the teacher.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, Mavis Beacon is your boss now.
Yeah, exactly.
Clippy is the co-principal.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you're a learning coach, then you can act more like a sort of American football coach. You can have your own like.
I'm doing Friday Night Lights for biology class.
Exactly, that's right.
I'm coaching special teams. We only do kicking, whatever the kicking version of biology is.
I was the defensive coordinator for GCSE maths.
So but the learning coaches are there to, quote, ensure discipline.
You can be a police officer. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's basically, because what happens, right, is this class size of like 20 kids, right? They might have, before they would have had a teacher for English, a teacher for science, a teacher for blah, 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 blah. Now,
Inefficient, get rid of it.
Yeah, now they have the AI system doing personalized lessons. Also, by the way, there's all the personalized lesson plans. I mean, goodbye to any kind of social element of learning. It is just about memorizing
It's so
facts.
interesting, just to like a very short point, like looking at all the examples of where AI is kind of introduced into sort of any system, be it like a school or be it like in a supermarket or a warehouse or something. Like the fire and rehire policy is kind of one where they kind of, the transition is always like you will have, you've had this like specialty training in whatever field, and you're now going to become a police officer with no training, because the whole point of it is like the AI has to work, and the AI can only work through like an enforcement of discipline, which like reinforces its use, right?
We're all going to be cops after all.
Right, like the way that the AI works is fundamentally like the humans have to sort of work around it and sort of to its strengths and everything. And in order to do that, in order to stop humans dicking around, and in particular children, like the only way you can do that is to sort of be enforcement. You can only do physical enforcement.
Yeah, the two kinds of teacher now, computer and Catherine Burbalson. And this is the thing, like basically to finish school in this country, you need to have like a minimum quotient of trauma. So
you need to like have the permission from Catherine Burbalson. It's very much just like I finished my grades. Is there someone you haven't asked?
we need a human factor in there to like shout at you and like make you piss yourself or whatever.
Well, that's the thing. Catherine Burbalson is no longer the head mistress. She's the learning manager. She's Sam Allardyce patrolling the touchline of the maths classroom, beleaguered in a big coat, vaguely gesturing at children.
It's interesting because during COVID, they tried to have human teachers and robot policemen. It's like there were all these remote learning tools where they were like tracking your eyes to see if you were cheating. And those didn't work. They were like easily gamed. And so now they've just like flipped it where the robots are going to be the teachers and the humans are going to be the cops.
Finally, Humo Cop.
Yeah, I for one really look forward to Cop Future, the future where we're all cops. We're just going around like arresting each other, saying like, what's all this then?
Yeah, well, what is all this then, of course, is that's just one school, and schools in Britain are allowed to all be especially wacky with it.
That was one of the weirdest kind of like pieces of deregulation, right? With Michael Gove being like, yeah, just fucking do whatever to the kids, man.
Yeah.
Just get weird with it, you know?
Yeah. Schools
just really feel yourself, enjoy the space,
Well, the AI teacher can survive the roof collapsing, so they're better than a regular teacher who would be crushed to death.
But that's just one school in a country where schools are routinely allowed to get wacky with it. But the government is also pushing this as well, where they've basically, there's a new program that the UK government has announced. It announced this last week, where essentially they were investing some millions of pounds to pool documents, including curriculum guidance, lesson plans, pupil assessments, which are then basically can be licensed by AI companies to train their tools to replace teachers, right? And they say, this is the government press release, so they can generate high quality content like tailored creative lessons plans and workbooks that can be used reliably in schools. And to encourage AI companies to make use of the data store, a share of an additional £1 million will be awarded for those who bring forward the best ideas to put the data into practice to reduce teacher workload. And so like this is not just like one wacky school. Like we've actually we talked about wacky schools trying to replace teachers with AI before. We talked about a school that made a chatbot an official member of staff. As well.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yep. But this is also, but the government is saying, please, startups, companies, please come in and residualize our education sector further. Yeah. We're creating the data store so you can then do that, and you can go to a school that's, again, might have had all its funding cut from its local authority, might be taking on more students than it can safely put in, especially because the building is falling apart because it's made out of fucking meringue. Hey, guess what? You're going to be able to to not hire any more teachers, not replace the ones who leave, call them all learning coaches, and end their specialization in any given subject, except for art or sex education.
Yeah.
It's cool that this is happening right after the pandemic gave us this wave of kids. We have a bunch more special needs. Should be fine. You know?
Yes, we've combined art and sex education. Paint me, boys. Paint me.
Paint me like your French teacher.
Yeah, that's right. R.I.P. to the French teacher. She's been replaced with the Duolingo owl.
I mean, that really would enforce some discipline in the classes, you know?
Yeah, that's right.
Children, you're all making Duo sad.
Yeah.
This is where we are essentially with the UK. David Game College being likely the first but not the last to do something like this, and the government not just tacitly but overtly encouraging it with money.
There's a subhead for this one, David Gamer moment.
Yeah, there you go. Hunting the most dangerous David.
But I want to talk about one more thing before we get into our main subject, which is, and we almost need a stinger for this.
Okay.
It's the Network State Watch.
Okay, well, I don't have that, so I'll just play something at random.
Fuck off.
Quote Osama bin Laden seeing a Soviet Hind helicopter for the first time.
Basically, as you know, we're big Balaji heads on this show.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah, huge Balaji heads.
I'm checking in with two things in my life: the Tony Blair Institute and Balaji.
Yeah.
We're Balagists.
Yeah, we're all Balajists.
It's pronounced biology, but the AI didn't quite nail that, you know?
So basically, I sent this to you as well, Jason, so you'll have seen this. Balaji has decided to take Grey Pride a step further and has bought an island off the coast of Singapore.
They all want to be super villains so fucking bad, dude.
Yeah. Balaji Srinivasan, who again, we have to remember, has a plan for San Francisco that basically involves a kind of like de-democratization and
It's the
political
Nerd Reich. It's the Nerd Reich is what he wants.
Yes, there we go.
I'm really on my pun shit this evening. And
Dr. Bro and his volcano lair.
So he has now a plan. The problem with deriding all of the existing everybody who's not already on your team as, either quislings or sort of morons who would love your leadership of them is you need to generate a kind of clerk and middle manager class to take your ideas, because podcast toadies aren't always going to be able to do it for you. So through the power of Bitcoin, Balaji says,
By the power of Bitcoin.
by the power of Bitcoin, we now have a beautiful island near Singapore where we are building the Network School.
We bought an island with cryptocurrency is such a dangerous start to any plan.
And then we're going to put a school on it.
Yeah.
So, you know.
It's the most being investigated by Interpol start to a plan.
Yeah.
You can,
This is like the fifth Bitcoin startup island or city that I'm aware of, and none of them have gone well. I actually went to the one in El Salvador, El Zonte, which has become this big surfing destination. And there were like 20 articles about how Bitcoin has revitalized this El Salvadorian city. And I went there and it's all just surf hostels and a bunch of surfers, and no one cares at all about Bitcoin. So I feel like many of these Bitcoin utopias are, grifts as you'd expect, but they also I have no idea what they are.
It really is a damning indictment of Bitcoin that they haven't even been able to get a bunch of guys whose main interest is surfing to go along with it.
Exactly.
Like, it's so dumb that those guys are like, nah, dude, I'm all right.
So, to be clear, like people who wanted to run radio stations illegally had more success at setting up a microstate than this. Like, genuinely. And I also would like to apologize to the Metal Gear Solid franchise for suggesting that it was implausible that you could just have like a sequential series of attempted doomed microstates,
Well, Prospera, and we'll talk about this more probably in the next episode, Prospera is also, wouldn't you believe it, running into trouble.
Oh, no.
They call it outer heaven.
Yeah, so let's talk about Balaji's outer heaven. So he's bought this island, and then he and Brian Johnson are working together to develop a kind of total life indoctrination program.
Oh, good.
The Brian Johnson massacre.
Yeah.
Is it good when billionaires have that?
I'm going to read what the launch, right? And it sounds 95% innocuous unless you know what Balaji wants to do and what his vision of society is.
Yeah, or unless you go there and you see a bunch of like kids running around in like gray like sweatsuits.
Yeah. You can go there, and if you just hide under a box, the guards will walk by you, mostly. The purpose of the Network School is to articulate a vision of peace, trade, internationalism, and technology, to revitalize democracy for the internet era, to train the next generation not just to be leaders of companies, but inspirations for their communities. Their structured part is about daily self-improvement. So there are 4 categories, the 4 pillars of Balajiism. Hajj is a
b-boying.
I will never get tired of doing that. The 4 pillars of Balajiism: learning skills, burning calories, earning currency, and having fun.
Learning, burning, earning, and having fun.
Yes. Yeah, that's...
It's too motivational, is what this is. It sounds like a self-help book. I mean, I guess it is a self-help book. It's just kind of overgrown.
It's a self-help book that should have been in the mind of someone who doesn't have billions of dollars, basically. And it should have stayed a fucking book.
Big Boss dreamed of a world where we were all burning calories.
They should have like a 5th pillar, which is like OMAD.
Here's how it works. We set up mini classrooms where you can drop in to see a problem of the day, and you solve that problem, and a proctor awards you a crypto credential, a free non-transferable NFT sent to your crypto wallet.
I was going to call it Nerd Hogwarts. I guess Hogwarts is already Nerd Hogwarts. But this is like Nerd 2 Hogwarts.
It establishes proof of learn.
Okay.
So,
all right. Okay.
Did they fucking try and blockchain the concept of education?
Well, that's the thing, right? They haven't understood that the thing that the actual already existing powerful want in the world for education is the AI approach, not the blockchain approach. No one cares if you actually read the book and you get like a little NFT saying, hey, I turned every page on Ulysses, right? No one cares about that. They just want to fulfill their statutory obligations to educate you cheaply, or as Balaji says.
I don't even think that's entirely true in the sense, or like it's not like, not to say it's not true, but it's more just like if you're super rich, like you're sending your kids to schools where it has some type of prestige and status, right? The AI stuff is really just like ways of cutting back teaching costs and like running schools on basically no budgets. But I'm not entirely convinced that like rich people actually want that. And so this kind of just feels like tech guys who, again, it's very much like this has to work. Like whatever shit that we've got on, but like the network state, it has to work. And if we can't make our sort of like weird little town in San Francisco, then we're going to go to this weird like boy island and we're going to send a bunch of kids there. And
just like, please do not call it Boy Island.
Fort Boyard.
No, it was named Buoy Island because there was a buoy there.
There's no Fort Gurlard anyway.
Yeah, and like they've seen like Goodwill Hunting once, and they've seen the whiteboard scene, and they're like, oh, that's cool. We should just do like the entire education model is like, what if he solved the Satoshi problem?
Our initial material, they say, focuses on founding tech communities as distinct from companies. That includes crypto, AI, social media, history, politics, and filmmaking. I don't know why they picked those.
Yeah, we're gonna give fucking Bulgaria a dime square or whatever.
It should be useful.
Florence Square.
It should be useful even if you're growing a traditional company or building a following. Every member of the network school gets a daily workout slot with a personal trainer. You run and lift in the morning at your chosen time, getting a proof of workout from your trainer, another NFT. Then you get a box with a Brian Johnson blueprint optimized meal and head to work. The point is to provide willpower as a service where the community provides the discipline. Do you see that? Does this look a little bit like Balaji is trying to build a sort of private army?
Willpower as a service where the community provides the discipline sounds a lot like the Great Leap Forward, actually. Sort of accidentally developing Maoism.
Well, I mean, sort of, this is a blockchain interpretation of the Great Leap Forward that's like, we put the country on a like proof of dead sparrow economy,
Well, to me, it just seems like it's all getting very Synanon, right? Like you go to this little island off of Singapore, your entire life is just like solving programming issues, and then like everyone around you makes sure that you're like doing all of your daily weightlifting, or you get, proof of willpower as a service where the community provides the discipline. It's just public shaming. That's just what that is.
It reminds me of those like men's retreats, but as an entire society.
Well, so they say. The network school is for people who admire Western values but recognize Asia as in ascendance, that Bitcoin succeeds the Federal Reserve, that AI can deliver better opinions than any Delaware magistrate. He had to put in the Delaware magistrate bit as well.
Bizarre micro beefs. Completely inscrutable. Like even to the most kind of fanboyish like Singaporean kid, like imagine caring.
Yeah, he says what this is for dark talent around the world. So like,
oh come on, dude.
Yeah.
Talent where we know that it exists, but we don't know how much of it there is or where it is.
You joke, but that is kind of what he means.
Oh no.
He says it's for Indian engineers or or the last few Europeans who believe in capitalism, or stuff like this.
I'm not sure I love calling it dark talent and then going, I'm mostly referring to Indians. That's a bit iffy.
Yeah. But also, I just think this is what I was sort of alluding to earlier. The idea that liberal democracies are hostile to these things is insane. It's an amazing gift to them. The Department for Education is trying to be taken over by technologists. They're doing their best.
Yeah, come to the UK.
Yeah.
Also, is the Delaware magistrate like one of those like weird legal terms? You know, like they say the man on the Clapham omnibus.
Yeah.
Like, could you explain, Liz, to the Delaware magistrate?
I'm just thinking like wrestling heel, you know? Like
He's trying to tie you up in red tape. That's his secret move.
We were going to do a coffin match, but the Delaware magistrate has stopped it due to health and safety issues.
Oh, he's coming in with the subpoena off the top rope.
No, the Delaware magistrate's like who hassles Elon Musk. That's what I think that's in there for, because Elon hates Delaware magistrates.
He knocks someone out and then he's like, case adjourned.
So to finish, it says, for those who want Silicon Valley without San Francisco, and for those who want to found, fund, and find new companies and currencies, new cities and communities, I'll be on campus full time with Brian Johnson co-supervising the setup of everything from the bench press to the French press.
from broadcast to podcast.
That's right.
Wow.
Anyway, so we're actually going to be relocating to an island just off of Singapore.
Why as well do all of these motherfuckers want to be Bond villains so bad? Like at some point down the road, I'm sure we're going to talk about Mike Lynch. Late of autonomy and then of drowning in the Mediterranean. That was a guy who put fucking piranha tanks in the lobby of his office. Balaji's trying to occupy a disputed island between China and Japan, the guy in No Time to Die. Why are they like this? Why does power affect them this way?
Remember the guy who bought that disused fort as well in Dover?
Yeah.
The tech fort guy.
Also, to be clear, I was doing the No Time to Die illusion. I don't believe that Singapore is between China and Japan. Thank you.
No, they all want to live on Spider Skull Island.
Yeah.
And if I had billions of dollars, maybe I would too, but I don't, so I don't.
Yeah. Well, the beauty of Spider Skull Island is that they keep all of the flies and other insects under control.
Jason, let's talk about AI Slop Tidal Wave Election Edition. As someone who is a keen watcher of AI Slop, as someone who is one of its first categorizers, let's start with something kind of general before we talk about companies and individual people actually churning this stuff out. How do you view the now I'd say mid-American election cycle tidal wave of AI Slop generated by and for candidates and political parties?
Well, did you see that Trump endorsed or Taylor Swift endorsed Trump for the election?
Huge news, which I'm sure she was thrilled to find out about.
Yeah, I feel like so far it's been very low effort from the candidates themselves, but there have been so many fan edits where there's an incredibly elaborate Kamala Harris is a communist AI video that then Elon Musk shares to millions and millions and millions of people. And I feel like the most impactful ones have been deepfake phone calls where Joe Biden is telling people in upstate New York not to vote, things like this. And I feel like the sort of AI slop manufacturers are just learning that they can use this for their own ends. I think we're entering a time period where we're going to see so much more of it. But I've been shocked that it took so long for the candidates and the parties to actually start doing this.
Are we fully sure that Joe Biden wasn't calling people in upstate New York telling them not to vote? It seemed like the kind of thing he was capable of the last few days.
Yeah, I mean, he may have picked up the phone and started robo-dialing people. Seemed like he didn't really know where he was at any given moment or lost his train of thought constantly. So it could have been him. But we've seen audio deepfakes especially be pretty impactful in Taiwanese elections, for example. And there's been a few cases here in the United States.
Yeah, Joe Biden kept calling people in Taiwan, telling them he was gay. They're like, I don't know what to do with this information.
Listen, Jack.
Listen up, Mac. I'm gay.
Listeners may have forgotten that one Democratic fundraiser email where, for whatever reason, they just put in the subject line, recipient, I'm gay.
It was like a perfect shit post.
It was meant. It was. I think you know what it was meant to be doing, but no one really sort of said, "Wait a minute, what is that? What are we really saying here?"
An amazing email to not open. Just like, well, I assume that's all I need to know.
Yeah. So, any case, just some context there. But so what you're saying basically is the usual suspects of churning this stuff out have been a bit slow to start. But if you want to talk about this in terms of misinformation, really it is creating like audio clips of, as you say, Joe Biden saying like, hey, Max, stay home on November 6th.
Yeah. So to be clear, it's happening. I guess what I'm saying is like everything else, politicians seem very far behind the curve with this tech. And I would have expected this to have begun a year ago. And we're really starting to see it ramp up now. I think that the I'm gay email is about to become a lot more personalized. For example, it's like that's going to be tailored to specific people.
Are we suggesting that we're going to start seeing hanky code emails?
Yeah, well, this is the thing. Like, they're going to micro-target someone who is extremely susceptible to believing that Joe Biden is gay, us, and then, sort of move us to vote or not vote accordingly.
Yeah, just a message. Hussein, I'm a switch. Email from Joe Biden. Kitten, please vote.
Cat can host.
Yeah.
First.
420 friendly. And I think this is where I want to go with this as well, right? When most people talk about the use of AI in politics, what they talk about instinctively is misinformation. Because that's what, because most people, when they think, okay, well, it's very easy to create a picture, of like Kamala Harris being put on the sealed train from Zurich to St. Petersburg, right? To instigate the revolution.
What's she going to do there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's easy to imagine, okay, well, that will give people a wrong idea, and that wrong idea will then motivate behavior based on a lie. That's like the basic disinformation view of AI, but this is something we briefly talked about this before the show, and it's something that sort of I've been reading more about and thinking more about. Where AI is actually being used in politics to greater effect is political parties using it, as you've alluded to like gigantically ramp up essentially robocalling and to make text messaging and emailing practically useless by reducing the cost of each fake personalized email to nothing, right?
I think that's absolutely right. Wired covered a company called Battleground AI, and it helps people write these targeting emails and the targeting text messages that we're deluged with. And I think, like we've seen with AI across the broader internet, it's not that this stuff is more convincing, it's that it's like good enough and it like turns creating this stuff into a factory. It's just like can spread flood the zone. I think that we're starting to see campaigns just like absolutely blast their potential constituents with text messages, and we're starting to see like more personalization across the board there. And so I don't think it's necessarily a problem of disinformation or misinformation. It's a problem of like flooding the zone with crap.
Once again, Hideo Kojima, you were right. You were right about everything.
Yeah.
So this company, Battleground AI, I think is an interesting one, right? And all it is, by the way, is it's just a one layer over several other large language models. And then you just have a graphical user interface to like turn up the enthusiasm on the message, put in some targeting, and then it essentially goes and prompts it for you and then returns something.
Recipient, I love being gay.
It's like hit these people with the anti-abortion messaging, hit these people with the economy messaging, hit these people with the immigration messaging, so on and so forth. And it does plug into ChatGPT and Claude and Anthropic and all of these large language models. So it is essentially like a big dial. Like, how xenophobic do you want to go? How far left do you want to go? Like, I mean, that's how I see it, at least.
And, one of the things we talk about AI being is a kind of barrier to communication rather than a facilitator of it. And, any process that you stick this into, even like thinking about like a political campaign, like they talk about not just like working for presidents, this Battleground AI app, which by the way is just like, they've just made the DNC consulting hustle more efficient because now you can just say, oh, I'm a tech company. What I really am is just a wrapper over several other tech companies. And you can fire all of like the sort of enthusiastic interns you have working for you because you, a candidate by yourself, are just going to be able to basically generate largely without writing or possibly even reading if you don't want to, targeted messages that are just going to go out into the ether. To me, it seems like another way to just remove people from a process, not just remove people from the doing of that process, but even the recipients, they become more removed from like the political candidate for school board or whatever. Just as if the animation studio replaces all of its animators with AIs, that puts there's a great distance between like the executives and you, right? Because you're the only people there, but you're separated by an enormous gulf. And to stretch over that chasm, the output has to be very strange. Yeah. And so, so in this case, right, it's just saying, oh yeah, people are alienated from politics. What if potential candidates understood them even less? What if they had even more contempt? I mean, we talked about in Britain, right, of, like the Starmer campaign doing a lot of this, of sending canvassers around to where people are trying to talk to them about what they care about. And they're like, no. I don't care about what you're talking about. I don't want to talk to you. I'm just here to get data.
I want to talk about, like getting radicalized in a sort of like unexpected direction by the same token and being like, well, no, I don't want to talk about the stuff that you think should be affecting me. I want to talk about what Joe Biden just fucking emailed me, apparently. Which is some really like stunning revelations about his sexuality, which were a total surprise to me.
He's invited me to go to somewhere called Boy Island.
This is how political messaging has been going since, I would say, the Obama campaign, where they had this like amazing, quote unquote, amazing digital strategy where they were very good at targeting on social media. This then happened in 2016 with the sort of Cambridge Analytica scandal that was maybe blown out of proportion, but the whole goal of Cambridge Analytica on Facebook was to not look at people as individuals, to look at them as like psychographic profiles that can be advertised to. And so instead of being like a whole ass person who has like thoughts and feelings about a lot of different topics and might feel some nuance, like based on your browsing history, your social media history, your location data, increasingly like where you go on your with your cell phone, your phone is targeted, like your user ID on your phone is targeted, and they don't see you even as like a full person. They see you as like hitting specific characteristics and having a specific internet trail and history that a specific type of messaging might work with. And so that's how you end up getting these emails from Joe Biden that are so bizarre. And I think that with AI, like the hope is that they can be more customizable, like rather than everyone getting the same email, they will have different parts that can be plug and played automatically with their AI targeting. But ultimately, you're absolutely right. It's like they're not seeing the voter as a person. They're seeing them as like a set of traits that can be targeted.
I feel like every time we talk about AI coming into a new domain like this, every single time, it's the existing processes have gotten it 95% of the way to being fully degraded. Right? AI is just the last hurdle, right? Because as you say, there's a long history of creating distance between like elected officials and voters, right? And this is just...
ever since the Kennedy assassination, they've had to really... We've been letting them get too close.
I've just gotten this craziest email from the president. I got to do something about it. Email. I've just got this crazy letter from the president.
Lee Harvey, I'm gay.
The only way to cure me is to shoot me in the back of the head.
Lee Harvey also a remarkably homophobic man.
Scientists believe there's a gay cortex in the brain, which if you can shoot it out with the Carcano rifle...
the most hated weapon in America.
Really enjoyed New York City JFK there as well.
Oh, hey, whoa, I'm JFK.
So like that's one example of one company, right? Where it's, again, this is started by a long-time Democratic Party insider who would just be who's understood where like the DNC consultant hustle is going.
But also a lot of it is just like MailChimp, right? Like they're slightly streamlining a process you could already do by having like 5 separate email lists labeled like, racist, abortion, like whatever, and writing 5 different emails that go to those people, and then it auto completes with the name of the person. Like it's nothing that spacey.
Because what level of personalization personalization would be meaningful and not also alarming?
Yeah.
Like, what level of personalization would be meaningful and not sound like a threat? Like, hey, I know that your daughter goes to like Elmwood High and she's not doing very well in physics. Elect me for school board and I'll make sure that physics at Elmwood High gets well funded. That's a threat.
I know that your son is growing up big and strong.
See, this is the thing. They haven't leaned into the grift that they could be doing, right? Like, yeah, that's a threat, right? But like, you give that to an old like machine politician, right? And you work some glad handing in. Maybe he keeps a baseball bat under the desk. You can't do that with a computer or with like robocalls or whatever. It doesn't work.
Yeah, we need to get back to more of a Boss Tweed kind of
Yeah, we
Democratic
need to bring
Party.
back. They have not automated Meade Esposito, the like shadow mayor of New York City, right? Like
We've created a machine that rewards people for growing out beards with a bottle of whiskey when they shave and vote twice.
Yeah.
But that's just one random company that's gotten written up. Another one that you mentioned having some knowledge of, Jason, as well, is TrueVerse Amplify software, which again is making text messaging as useless as phone calls in America.
Yeah. So the text message thing, it's been a part of politics for a decade now. But I feel like in this current election cycle, it's like if you end up on a list, like if you donate to anyone, they will not leave you alone. They won't leave your family alone. They won't leave anyone you ever speak to alone.
Liam Neeson campaign strategist.
Yeah, it's like there's been like multiple screenshots of people just like telling the DNC to stop texting them, like stop. And every time it comes from like a different number. My partner's mom has donated to political campaigns, and because they're on the same phone plan, she wakes up every morning to like 100 text messages from like 100 different politicians, special interest groups, like the DNC, the RNC, all of the above. And I feel like these are not necessarily that AI powered at the moment, but they're doing something where the like unsubscribe button does not work. Like they're sending from different numbers constantly. It's very hard to know how you got on any given list, what list you're on, how to get off them. And
Sorry, I missed your text. I had 100 messages from Greg Stubbe telling me he was polyamorous.
There's been multiple times she hasn't responded to me because she's like, oh, I like turned my phone on mute because I'm just getting spammed by the RNC right now.
For example, like Adam Schiff uses TrueVerse to send hundreds of thousands of small dollar donors to his Senate campaign with the push of a button. But that's like, this company claims to offer more than just like robo-texting, because the idea is, oh, we're going to open up a conversation with a chatbot where you can say, oh, but you know, how high are you going to build the wall, essentially? And then again, chatbots masquerading as politicians can be like, well, what kind of gay are you, Joe Biden? And then it sort of has to answer.
When they
basically
say wall, you say how high.
Yeah. TrueVerse is mostly for retailers.
Yeah.
Right? TrueVerse is mostly for the private sector. So it's, for example, on their website, they give a demo of how the product works, which is, oh, you have a reservation at like 6 p.m. somewhere. You're having an early dinner, I guess. And you can say, hi, can you change the reservation, please? And it's like, yes, of course. Would you like it at a normal time, like 7 or 8? You'd be like, yes, thank you.
Or are you going to the theater to see Hamilton? Would you like to vote for Adam Schiff?
Yeah, right? So there's more that they can do.
Right. Well, now it's when you get the spam messages, you can talk back to them and they will talk back to you. And so if you're trying to unsubscribe from them, they'll say like, well, why?
No.
Like, yeah, exactly. Let's talk about this. Why are you breaking up with me?
Yeah.
Turn the tables. Tell the candidate that you're gay.
Yeah.
See what happens then.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Biden.
Want to be up?
So essentially, right, it's like on the one hand, robo-dialing is much faster and more efficient, which is bad. But there is this added element of you can just talk to and project onto the spam text that you get. And who's going to reply to spam texts? It is, of course, mostly elderly shut-in.
Yeah.
who are now going to get even more radicalized down even stranger pathways.
Sorry,
Great.
Mr. President. One moment. I have an uncollected parcel that I need to pay a $2.95 charge on.
And I mean, again, it much like the Cambridge Analytica stuff, right? I think my view on it is that, like, okay, there's lots of ways of doing this stuff already. Obviously, like, a lot of these people are already radicalized and that's already been done by, like, blunter force instruments like Fox News or whatever. But, like, I think it puts, like, it puts a thumb on the scale a little bit. And sometimes that's all it takes, If you are one of like 400 pensioners in like Ohio or whatever, or Michigan, who is like hyper concerned about whether Kamala Harris describes herself as bisexual or pansexual, and your vote depends on that, that's a like serious commodity,
Both the pro and anti Kamala Harris text messages are both describing her as bisexual.
That's something that chatbots have gotten not good at, but good enough to fool an elderly voter, most likely, where you can imbue them with a personality and you can say, okay, you're Adam Schiff, pretend you're Adam Schiff, and you program in his, biographical data and things like that, like his positions on different policies. And, an old person sends 10 text messages back and forth with this bot who claims to be Adam Schiff and leaves the conversation feeling like they've actually talked to him. I think that these like character AIs are actually some of the ones that are not necessarily convincing, but that people like. It's like there are many people who are in relationships, like these very bizarre relationships with sex bots and things like that. And it's not that big of a step.
Like me and Mavis Beacon.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You would type in those replies so fast.
That's right. Yeah, that's where I got it from.
As you say, right? The kinds of the political impacts of AI to be worried about generally is just circling back to the beginning. It's not disinformation. It is too much information. It is too much noise. It is this is not something that's just the province of like one party. This is being eagerly embraced by basically everyone involved because it makes the whole thing cheaper, and they love hearing promises. They love snake oil. They can't stop chugging it. And all it's going to do is provide another step in what is now essentially a multi-decade process of the total like degrading of the American public sphere. I mean, you guys have used AI to degrade the public sphere that way. What we've done over here is actually, I also think, a much more toxic and politically consequential form of lying using AI or something like this. It's nothing to do with like misinformation. It's what's currently happening on an industrial scale in the UK, which is the promise that AI can compensate for slashed public spending. That's how we're using it, and everybody seems to be very on board, and they don't even need ChatGPT to generate anything about it. But that's not the only innovative use of AI, because it gives me great pleasure to announce that there is another AI-driven political startup throwing its hat into the ring.
Ooh.
That's right. Jacob Wohl and Jack Berkman are back.
Oh, man.
I was wondering where Jacob had
past.
gone, and then like immediately this came up, and like, the algorithms have gotten really good. Clearly,
You summoned him. Like, this is the thing. Like, but you sort of like make him real by thinking about him.
Yes, that's right. Somehow Jacob Wohl returned.
Yeah. Speaking of building the wall, what about rebuilding?
So for those who don't remember, Jacob Wohl and Jack Berkman were essentially a kind of Washington Laurel and Hardy who love to get into sort of
Carrying a big pane of glass around DC.
essentially, who love to get into sort of scrapes and flimflams. And wouldn't you know it, they've served out their 500 hours of community service they were given by a judge for calling black voters in Ohio and telling them not to register to vote.
And now they can do it with AI. So,
well, indeed. They founded a company called Lobbymatic. Lobbymatic. Jason, have you heard of Lobbymatic?
So this is crazy because I was reporting on this company 6 months ago when I saw it because it was fucking crazy. And I didn't know it was Jacob Wohl. And apparently neither did anyone else, because Politico just reported like the morning that we're recording it that those are the people who are running it. So I found this and I was like, oh, this is they claim that they will help lobby on any bill, and on their website they have all these examples of having worked with like McDonald's, Microsoft, Facebook, etc. So this was back in January, actually. I have my emails up now, and I emailed with all of these companies about whether they had any relationship with Lobbymatic, and I just never got the time to write it up. So here I have an email from Microsoft.
How much did they help Microsoft? Like, how many bills did they get passed on Microsoft's behalf?
Just dozens and dozens of bills. So Pfizer, public relations, sorry for the delay. I can confirm they are not a vendor. Microsoft, we are not a client, and we've never heard of this company. Palantir, Lobbymatic is not and has never been a Palantir customer. Looks like they're using us as an example of client. Yeah.
how badly does Jacob Wohl want to be like a Peter Thiel kid?
I mean, this is the thing. He's kind of trying to talented Mr. Ripley his way into it. And the thing is, he never learns because even having faced some consequences, clearly this has not deterred him in any way from his beautiful, immaculate tactic of just lie about it.
Yeah. When I get an
Just
email,
lie and say you did.
Jason, sorry to cut you off there. Did anybody say they worked with him?
No one. And I emailed 20 companies because they had a bunch of examples. I took a bunch of screenshots of it back in January, and I ended up not writing about it because I was like, this is not a real company doing anything. There's no one behind it. They're not, like, I couldn't find any evidence that it was anything more than a Medium post and a website with a bunch of Palantir logos on it. So I didn't write about it, but now I will probably do a follow-up on this. This is great. This is very exciting news.
Yeah, because it's got Washington's greatest jokesters on the case.
does explain all those text messages I got from Peter Thiel saying, Milo, I need your blood.
Wohl and Berkman, one of the reasons that no one clocked this is that they are using pseudonyms in their new business.
That's all it took. They're running the scam playbook from the 1820s. Just go get a cart down the road to the next town and paint over the name on the side of the snake oil wagon, and that worked.
Getting an email from Wake Up Joel being like, I'm gay.
this Wake Up Joel fellow seems like a trustworthy man.
Lobbymatic was founded last year by Jacob Wohl alongside Jack Berkman. What is it that binds these two together?
Oh, I mean, they have a deeply loving relationship.
Yeah, they must be such good friends.
Well, listen, the bond between scammers is stronger than like almost anything. This is a thing that you can find in a little movie called The Sting, for instance.
Yeah, they're the Paul Newman and Robert Redford of political lobbying.
Yeah, absolutely.
In his role as CEO and founder of the new firm, Wohl went by the name Jay Klein, according to a former employee, with emails obtained by Politico. Berkman went by the pseudonym Bill Sanders.
I gotta hear some weirder names for these guys. Like a few more iterations of this scam, and like Jacob Wohl will be sending me emails telling me he's gay, like under the name of like Sir Anthony Housefather or something.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm really excited to hear Esteban Corcoran suggest.
Oh, Rufus T. Firefly is telling me that I could have access to Peter Thiel.
We did a
Fantastic.
whole episode about a guy whose actual name is Dario Item, so I think the sky is the limit, to be honest.
Yeah.
Also, the T in Rufus T. Firefly stands for the. So, running their firm under their pseudonyms appears to have been the latest instances, all from Politico, of shady behavior by the pair of convicted fraudsters. Now they are seizing on public exuberance on the promise of AI to transform the workplace, in this case on K Street, for lobbyists. So, Jason, I have a sort of précis of it in front of me, but just because I don't want to miss anything because it's so thin, what did their company actually purport to do for the people they didn't work with?
They claimed basically that they would help track bills as they went through Congress and would help, say, Pfizer write a letter to lawmakers. So they would keep track of all of the lawmakers who are a part of the health committee, and they would both help the companies write legislation and then like send it to the lawmakers, and would track these bills through Congress. So if it detected like a healthcare bill that got introduced, it would flag it in its system and say like, oh, this is very bad. We need to lobby against it.
This is something that for the trans community is fulfilled by 2 Twitter accounts.
Yeah. The AI email that's like, Dear Senator, I noticed neither of your children have malaria for now.
But also, it's like, that's the kind of thing that used to just be done by people. But again, the whole point of a lobbyist isn't to pass information to companies on where bills are and send letters. It's to have a personal relationship with a lawmaker or know stuff about them that they can use in order to bend them to their will.
Well, in fairness, Jacob Wohl tried this one previously and kind of went to jail about it.
What do you mean? Elizabeth Warren's a Dom. Like, that's with the chain in the Marine.
Yeah. That email is going out to Michigan voters right now.
A Dom would never thank her husband for being there.
It's his dog cage. He's supposed to be here. But yeah, no, I understand, like, once bitten, twice shy on that one,
They have a feature in here called Contribution Optimizer, and it says an AI optimized plan to garner the most possible influence through like donations. So essentially it's claiming to like determine which Congress people are most pliable and most open to receiving donations.
But you can just know
I know.
that.
Yeah, exactly.
Who are the cheapest dates in Congress?
How come it keeps telling us to lobby in the UK?
Yeah.
But also, I do love that 2 of the former Lobbymatic employees resigned after learning Klein and Sanders' true identities, while the other 2 learned only after they had left the
I
company.
would hate to learn my boss's true identity.
This
is
hat
the
comes
thing.
right off.
Yeah, but what's so funny is how they learned it was that they were really bad at calling each other by their fake names.
This is why you need to do the Reservoir Dogs taking a Pelham 1, 2, 3 thing. Use colors, right? Mr. Blue, Mr. White, Mr. Green. That way you don't fuck up and forget which business you're Dr. Anthony Q. Housefather and which business you're Reverend Rufus T. Firefly.
So, after getting hired by quote-unquote Jay Klein, an employee soon grew suspicious about Wall and the company after witnessing an apparent hesitation to obtain a business license.
Mr. Wall Klein. That's how I pronounce it.
What do you mean? That's how we pronounce it where I come from.
I'm the lawyer for the accused, the Honourable Esquire Angelos Quench. Now, these are quite spurious accusations.
My client, Reginald H.B. Featherbottom, has much better things to do with his time.
Pierre Lescrooge is an upstanding citizen.
So basically, the employee took a photo of Wall, did a Google reverse image search, and was like, that's clearly Jacob Wall.
That works? Jesus.
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, right, put Jacob Wall back in prison. Give that employee a private investigator's license and like some kind of old-timey revolver and a raincoat.
The other employee learned of Klein's true identity after different colleagues told them he was Wall. 3 former employees said that Berkman would often slip up and call Jay Klein Jacob Wall by accident.
What? Like he's full naming him in the office? Like, hey, Jacob Wall, can you get me a coffee, please? Thank you, Jacob Wall.
Thank you, convicted fraudster Jacob Wall.
Any resemblance of Fernando Bloomington to Jacob Wall is highly incidental.
We're getting dangerously close to the Key and Peele East-West College poll name. The Politico article does find 3 companies that they actually did at least correspond with.
Okay.
So Wolin Berkman's company asserts on its website, this Politico, that it helps clients massively increase their efficiency and effectiveness by harnessing the power of AI. As we've talked about with Jason, they didn't even seem to be doing like the fake thing that a company actually trying to do this would be doing. They seem to largely do nothing. Like they just sat around in their office in like Virginia.
Well, they were coming up with fake names. That takes up a lot of time.
It's so fun to do. What are you talking about? Me and my friend Archibald T. Fairfax are just upstanding businessmen. Its website states the technology, blah, blah, blah. Toyota spokesperson Zachary Reed said a person from Lobbymatic represented himself as Jay Klein, offered the company a 3-month trial, which they took them up on, and it expired last month and they did not extend it. Lantheus, a pharmaceutical company and also potential fake last name, spokesperson Linda Lennox. My name is Linda Lennox Lantheus, and I'm here.
We've achieved semantic saturation. Every name sounds fake now.
Yeah.
You can't even look at a perfectly... If someone comes up to you and says, hi, my name is Linda Lennox, you're like, cool, nice to meet you. Totally normal name. After an hour of this shit, you're like, you are motherfucker, that is not a real person.
That is Jacob Wall.
That is Jacob Wall. Jacob Wall under that. You're doing the fucking Johnny English bits. You're trying to kind of rip off the like grandmother's like wig to reveal Jacob Wall beneath, you know?
You're Linda Lennox and this is your PR spokesperson Anatoly Huguenot. I've heard it all before.
What are you talking about? My name is Vasily Malta Sicily.
Realizing the exact vitreousness of the glass house I live in as I remember that my name is November Kelly.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Am I Jacob Wall?
That's Jacqueline
Am I
Bergman.
Jacob Wall?
My name is Vitreous Humor.
I just need you to tell me right now that I'm not Jacob Wall.
When you do it when the edible hits you hard and you become convinced that you're Jacob Wall and so is everyone else.
Now, my client...
Malkovich.
Your Honor, if we're all Jacob Wall, then who is Bill Sanders?
my client, Vitruvian Phlegmatic. I can't believe that it's just degenerated into this.
Vitruvian phlegmatic. Isn't that one of the Wu-Tang Clan? The lesser known. Yeah.
Jason, I'm so sorry to have you take time out of your busy schedule to listen to us come up with fake names for 20 minutes.
It's good.
We were intrigued by the advertised potential of, Lanthius, obviously, the person who initiated the free trial left the company and then they forgot they had it.
It's so funny that companies can do this too. It's like you with a VPN, you know? It's like, I'm still paying for this? Fuck.
We were intrigued by the advertised potential of Lobbymatic and had a limited number of employees test out the service to track legislation and summarize congressional hearings, said one of the co-founders of Boundary Stone Partners, a lobbying firm. We quickly determined the tool did not work and terminated our contract 2 months ago. At no point did we share any confirmation with Lobbymatic, and we did not know Wohl or Berkman were affiliated at all. Looks like they're going to have to just paint that wagon over and go to another U.S. capital.
I'm excited. I'm excited to see what Zachariah Laflamberge is going to do next, you know? Like,
My name is Temperance Quench, and I know nothing of Jacob Wohl.
So, Jason, do you have any last words on the exploits of our two favorite hucksters?
I just can't wait to write about this. The Politico article is great, but I have like 15 companies saying I have no idea why this company is using our logo in their marketing. I also have another feature that it has, and it just has a big like to-do list. And on the to-do list is just says email Sherrod Brown, who is a senator. Just like email senator.
Yeah. Finally, we've invented a machine that can do this.
Rise and grind.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Rise Grindington. And
That's right.
Jason, as always, glad to have you on the show. Thank you very much for making the time and coming on today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And also, thank you to the listener for listening. I hope you've come up with a fake name for yourself. Do share it in the Patreon comments.
Yeah. Something like Portfolius Bitcoin. You know, it could be anything. Yeah.
My name is Ethereum Ripple Cardano, and I'm here to sell you on insurance. So yes, if you come up with a fake name, leave it as a comment. Why not?
Yeah.
And also, if you're not on the Patreon, do remember that we have a Patreon. It can be accessed for $5 American every month, and you get a second episode every week.
And if you do that, you can comment a fake name that you came up with, whereas otherwise
this week
you can't.
we're going to be talking to once again Gareth Dennis, all about his exploits on the railway and in press. So do check that out. Otherwise, thanks again to Jason. Thanks again to my co-host. Thanks again for listening, and we will see you in a couple short days.
Oh yeah, and please come see me on tour. So many UK tour dates available. New ones are Glasgow and Newcastle, if you live in either of those two cities. But there are many other cities available. miloebers.co.uk/live-shows.
Bye. 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 Bye.
Bye.
Bye.